The Karmic Cycle. To turn driver instead of passenger, however, you need to start by knowing a few basic rules about how the karmic mechanism works. Let us start by addressing a fundamental misunderstanding. Although karma means action, it does not necessarily refer to physical deeds. It does not necessarily refer to what you do in the outside world, whether it be acts of charity or acts of villainy. Instead, karma is action on three levels: body, mind, and energy. Whatever you do on these three levels leaves a certain residue or imprint upon you. What does this mean? It is quite simple. Your five senses are collecting data from the outside world every moment of your life. You are literally being bombarded with stimuli at every instant. Over time, this enormous volume of sense impressions begins to assume a certain distinctive pattern within you. This pattern slowly shapes itself into behavioral tendencies. A cluster of tendencies hardens over time into what you call your personality, or what you claim to be your true nature. It works in the reverse as well. Your mind shapes the way you experience the world around you. This becomes your karma, an orientation to life that you have created for yourself in relative unawareness. You are not aware of how these tendencies develop. But what you consider to be myself is just an accumulation of habits, predispositions, and tendencies you have acquired over time without being conscious of the process. Take a simple example. Some people may have been joyful children but are now unhappy adults. There may have been life events that triggered that unhappiness. But in most cases, people have no clue how and when they acquired this persona. If they had created their personality consciously, they would have crafted themselves quite differently. But somewhere along the way, by following the diktats of their unexamined reactions and tendencies, chronic unhappiness became their defining characteristic. In other words, karma is like old software that you have written for yourself unconsciously. And, of course, you are updating it on a daily basis. Depending on the type of physical, mental, and energetic actions you perform, you write your software. Once that software is written, your whole system functions accordingly. Based on the information from the past, certain memory patterns keep recurring. Now your life turns habitual, repetitive, and cyclical. Over time, you become ensnared by your patterns. Like so many people, you probably don't know why certain situations keep recurring in your inner and outer life. This is because these patterns are unconscious. As time goes on, you turn into a puppet of your accumulated past. The lives of many people, for instance, are dominated by food or substance abuse. Chemical addiction certainly plays a role here, but the primary problem is that they have set up a recurrent pattern in their life. However hard they try to emerge from it, they keep falling back into the trap. If one does not consciously rewrite one's karmic software, the regularity of the pattern can feel like it is being imposed from without, rather than initiated from within. But this software is not a fate to be endured. It can be rewritten, dropped, or distanced, as we will see later in this book. The karmic mechanism is ceaseless. Every mental fluctuation in you creates a chemical reaction, which then proceeds to provoke a physical sensation. This sensation, in turn, reinforces the chemical reaction, which then strengthens the mental fluctuation. Over time, your very chemistry is determined by a series of unconscious reactions to sensory and mental stimuli. Now, if you simply think about something that excites you, you can actually feel certain sensations in your body. This can be empirically verified. We now know that the human being is a psychosomatic organism, that whatever happens in the mind immediately imprints itself on the body as a chemical process. If you think of mountains, for instance, your chemistry will react in one way. If you think of tigers, it reacts in another. So for every minute mental fluctuation, there is a certain type of chemical reaction and sensation. You may not even be aware of it unless the sensations become acute. All these sensations register and over time become the blueprint of your unconscious mind. You are therefore a living repository of karmic memory on levels you are not aware of. Today, research has shown that psychological and emotional traumas can contribute to your risk for mental and physical health problems. We are told that mental distress can lead to cardiac problems. None of this is new. People always knew that if you go through psychological upheavals, your heart will break. All this happens because your body chemistry changes over a period of time as a result of constant mental and emotional fluctuation. This is a vicious cycle. If you touch the firmament of your mind just once, the resulting ripples are enough to keep going for lifetimes. The mind is a process that picks up momentum without any assistance from you. You may have noticed that when you were 18, you were generally able to shrug off difficulties and move on. That ability was more challenged by 30. By 45, many things seem to bother you. And, by 60, you find it almost impossible to pick yourself up, adapt, and move on. This mentality is pervasive, you can see it all around you. At 18, people are often anxious about their future. At 70, when most of their life is behind them, they are still worried. They have become such veterans at the business that they worry for no reason at all. This is because the cycle from mental fluctuation to chemical reaction to sensation, which then, in turn, produces a chemical reaction that leads again to a mental fluctuation, has gathered momentum. Over time, this has a cumulative impact on cellular and genetic memory, as well as on the energy system. The unconscious mind is therefore a tremendous library of karmic memory. You would find this information very useful if you were approaching it consciously. The problem is that it manifests all the time, without your permission. You feel like one big mess because you are punching your psychological keyboard randomly all the time. Think of a CD on which music is recorded. The disc is like your body, whether physical, mental, or energetic. The music is analogous to the impression recorded upon your body. Now, the music is just a small impression on a compact disc. But when you play the CD, you do not experience the disc, you experience the music. Karma is similar. You are not actively experiencing your energetic or mental or physical body. You are only facing the music. And you cannot stop it. You are experiencing your karmic impressions and imprints all the time. And you cannot bring these to a halt.